college students in Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, stabbed to death in their beds in a crime that has horrified and mystified the nation. Law enforcement sources tell ABC News a 28-year-old man, Brian Koberger, is now under arrest in connection with the killings. We're told authorities arrested Koberger thousands of miles from Idaho in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, that a SWAT team entered the location where he was staying and took him into custody this morning. This comes more than 6 weeks after investigators say University of Idaho roommates Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Zainab Kernodle, as well as Kernodle's boyfriend Ethan Chapin were all stabbed to death in the girl's off-campus house. With me now for more is ABC News' Kana Whitworth, live in Moscow, Idaho, and former chief for the San Bernardino Police Department and ABC News contributor Jared Bergwan. So, Kana, we're now learning there was this arrest warrant, obviously for murder in the first degree. So this is the guy they think did it. He appeared before a judge today, ordered his extradition. What can you tell us?
So, Terry, what we know so far is that this arrest resulted from this criminal homicide investigation that was happening here in Moscow, Idaho. Now, Moscow PD remains the lead on this, and they, at this point, are not confirming this arrest. But our sources within the FBI are saying that Brian Koberger, again, 28 years old, he was highly educated, Terry. In fact, he had a master's degree in criminology from DeSales University there in Pennsylvania, but also attended Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, which is just less than 10 miles away here from Moscow, Idaho. So he will be extradited back here to Idaho to face charges for the most heinous crime that this city has ever seen. We're also told that the SWAT team knew what they were looking for and that he was arrested inside a house there in rural Pennsylvania.
All right, a long way, as you point out, Kana, from Moscow, Idaho. Jared, we now have the suspect. We've got the arrest warrant. What do you make of this? What happens next?
Well, the judge has already ordered him to be extradited, so he's going to be on his way back to Idaho before long, and we will start to see the court proceedings begin from there, from a preliminary hearing to presumably a trial. I will point out it's interesting that he's got this history in criminal justice with no prior criminal history that I'm sorry, not a criminal history in criminal justice, but a history studying criminal justice with no prior criminal history. It's going to be a fascinating aspect to this case.
Yeah, it seems like he has a person who has been interested in this field, and now, right in the middle of the biggest murder case in the country right now. Kana, what's the latest on the crime scene and how this arrest factors into the investigation on the ground there?
Yeah, well, first, Terry, I'll tell you, one of my law enforcement sources told me, they weren't surprised that this suspect was highly educated. They, in fact, anticipated something like that. In addition to the crime scene, right, this off-campus home, it's a popular house, it's a 6-bedroom house. It remains a crime scene, and in fact, biohazard teams were supposed to start their initial cleanup there today. They actually went to the house, and then we're told to leave. The property management company, who's been working closely with law enforcement to schedule this, told us that they were alerted that there's been a major break in this case, and so the cleanup of that crime scene will be postponed. It'll just have to wait for now, Terry.
And thank you, Kana. Jared, there is new body cam video. Shows apparently one of the victims in this case talking to police weeks before the murders. And do you know what this might suggest about the direction of this investigation? What police knew? She seems to, we don't know the circumstance of this, as far as I know. It's from Truth and Transparency. What do you make of something like this?
Well, I'm sure the fact that the house was popular, these were popular college kids, it's a large house, it sounds like a place where a lot of people gathered, a lot of people were in and out of. That really complicated the investigation because it added to the number of people that needed to be interviewed. It added to the number of potential suspects. It added to the number of potential motives that authorities had to look at. I'm not familiar with what the content of that body cam video was or why an officer was there in the first place, but undoubtedly there were probably just stacks and stacks of evidence that the authorities had to go through to ultimately settle on a suspect in this case.
Right. And Kana, that nugget that authorities you spoke to, we're not surprised that this suspect, the person that they now believe committed this crime, was highly educated. We're going to hear from authorities at a news conference at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. ABC News Live. ABC News is going to carry that live when it happens. So tell us what else you think we might learn there. What are you expecting to hear? What kind of questions might you have?
Right. So as it goes with this case, Terry, every time we learn something, it really only creates more questions, right? So now the questions we have are, what's the deal with this white Elantra that authorities were looking for? Was Brian Kober driving that white Elantra? There were also other people believed to be inside that car. Where are they? What's going on with them? Also, police said from the get-go, this was an isolated and targeted attack. I hope that we can learn why they thought that at the beginning and continue to believe that throughout the investigation. Again, authorities have been tight-lipped this entire time. They said they were responding to thousands of tips across this entire country, which you are seeing today as an arrest made thousands of miles away. So clearly everybody has been highly involved in this. They're not leaving one stone unturned. And so I hope that they give all of that information. One thing I also want to add, Terry, is when you see all this body cam footage from these responding officers in this community from months past, I thought what it really goes to show is how involved these officers are in this community. And we were told time and time again that these officers know these kids, and you see that play out, right, in that body cam video. In fact, what you were just talking about, officers were responding to a noise complaint. It was the second time they'd been at this King Street party house that night, and you see them talking with Xana. You see that these officers know these kids. They knew who they were, and so this crime, therefore, rocks not only the community, but the department as well.
Yeah, because that is a small community with those officers there on the scene. Thank you for that, Ken. And I want to ask Jared about this. This has been 6 weeks now since the killings. Have you been involved in cases, that really